This is the Spirit and Wellness Show. News and information from a higher perspective. With your host, Harry Wilkinson. Yes, hello and welcome to the Spirit and Wellness Show. This is your host, Harry Wilkinson, and this is the show where we take a look at the days and weeks events, happenings in the world, internationally, domestically here in the United States, in politics, in technology, in science. We look at it all from a higher perspective. And from a higher perspective, I'm talking about perspective some may call metaphysical, some may call spiritual, but it's a concept that what we experience in the outer world are simply reflections and creations, illusions, if you will, although some people get confused by that word. So maybe we won't use illusions as much, but we'll use creations that reflect aspects of ourselves. Not only that, they are creations in which we experience ourselves in different ways. Because at the highest level of our being, we are powerful co-creators. And being powerful co-creators, we create situations that allow us to experience different things. Things that we wouldn't normally experience in the highest level of our being, simply because they wouldn't be meaningful. And so when we take a step back and we look at what's going on in the world and everything that appears to be crazy, if we step back far enough and in fact take it into meditation, we can see ourselves reflected in this. What appears to be crazy and off-putting and how did that ever happen is something that we actually have created ourselves. And once we recognize that and see that, if we are feeling uncomfortable, we can take energy from it. And just the very act of going into meditation, going into that situation or quote-unquote problem or that idea that disturbs you, just going into that, feeling that, and then recognizing the truth of it, that it's a creation, that it does not have control over you, you then take energy from it. And when you do that, that very act changes whatever it is that, you're dealing with. Because we are that powerful. That's all I'm trying to say. Now, you don't, when you do this, you don't go in with the intention to change anything. You go in with acceptance. You just accept it and go in and feel what you feel and then recognize the truth that it is a creation and then take the energy from it. You don't have any ideas about changing it or what you want to change it into or any of that. All of that takes care of itself quite nicely. You don't need to do any, kinds of visualizations of any kind or any, impose any ideas of your own upon it. Not necessary. You just go in, feel it, take the energy, and move on. So that's what we do. And on this show, I try to illustrate the ways that that can be done. The show is as much a reminder for me and a way to focus me on this particular way of perceiving things, and a reminder to me when I get overwhelmed. It's as much that as it is, a show for an audience. Although, I hope that those who listen to it do benefit from it and maybe are able to look at things in a slightly different way that brings them a more peace of mind and more overall wellness. Hence the wellness aspect of the show. Well, of course, this is a day for much reflection, it being September the 11th, and of course, remembrances of that day 15 years ago when planes flew into the Twin Towers in New York, the Pentagon here in Washington, D.C., and the plane crash, which was actually in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But it's been speculated, I believe, that plane would have, had it reached its destination, been headed for the White House. Of course, it is the deadliest attack that has ever happened in this country. Almost 3,000 people died as a result. And it's been my approach on this show over the years that I've done it. When we speak of major events like this, events that galvanize and focus large amounts of people, these are the events that reconnect us, help us to remember who and what we are when we get lost in the reflections and game playing that we have created, in our everyday world. It brings us into a higher state of mind. Many of us, though others may react differently. Others may find themselves unable to get there. Others may be overwhelmed by sadness and fear. That happens too. But that's a path. That's something you work through, and at the end of it is that reconnection. And I've spoken about this in relation to all kinds of tragedies that have happened when we had school shootings, when we've had the tragic and unexpected deaths of beloved public figures. All of these happen for a reason. Now, I know a lot of people don't like that phraseology. Everything happens for a reason, but it does. As I said, since we are master creators, we create all of these situations. In fact, we create the way that we leave this world, leave this realm, and change our form. And it comes to that kind of an understanding, the real tragedy sometimes in these situations is our misunderstanding and or forgetfulness of what life is. Because if you are, focused on and believe in, the physical body as being life, and the end of the physical body as being the end of life, if that's your belief system, then of course tragedies like this become all the more tragic, because the belief is that someone has died horribly and has been taken away and no longer exists. But when we understand, when we take that metaphysical perspective on it, when we understand that, no, those people aren't gone. They've changed form. They've let go of their physical body in this realm. But you know you feel their presence. You know you feel their thoughts and memories. If we're honest with ourselves, we know that. And so the question might be why. You know, there's always a lot of soul searching. There's always a lot of wondering, why did something like this happen? If you are of a traditional religious mind, or you're a skeptic of religious belief, you wonder, why would God do such a thing? Why would God allow such a thing to happen? Those kinds of questions are not in my purview, and are not the perspective of this show. So I won't spend too much time on those. But if you think about what I'm saying, you'll probably come across the answer yourself. But from a higher perspective, a metaphysical perspective, when I talk about these tragedies, and I have in the past, I remind myself that not only did we create this situation for a reason as creators, to experience something, to remember something, to put a focus on something, but each and every person that passes away created the situation of their leaving this earth for a reason. And their reasons are multitude, many, because their leaving impacts the people around them in different ways. But I find it helpful to remember, and maybe you will too, that when someone passes, even though on the surface, on the everyday, mundane realm that we are playing in, even though it may appear that their passing came as, came on suddenly, came as a surprise, or either that, or was perhaps a long drawn out affair with illness, and a battle against a sickness of some kind, whatever it was chosen at the highest level now. Not the mundane everyday level, but at the highest level, the metaphysical level, was chosen by that person, and chosen for a reason. This is a message that they had in leaving this realm. A message, and the messages are varied, but ultimately they are there to remind the people who were connected to, or influenced by, or touched by